Somebody help me! He's gonna kill me! You have to hide me!
She ran barefoot through the restaurant lobby, blood dripping from her lip, mascara streaking down her face. Behind her, the man everyone in Pinewood, Texas called a saint was screaming her name like a curse. Lily Monroe was 18 years old, and she knew with absolute certainty that if Marcus Webb caught her tonight, she would not survive until morning. She threw herself into the elevator just as the doors began closing, and crashed directly into a wall of black leather. A Hell's Angel stood there covered in tattoos, eyes cold as death. She'd escaped one monster, and landed in a cage with another. If you want to hear how this story ends, subscribe to my channel and follow Lily's journey to the very last word. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel across the world. Now let's begin. Lily's bare feet slapped against the cold tile as she ran. Her heels were gone, abandoned somewhere between the kitchen and the back hallway. One of them had broken when Marcus grabbed her. The other she'd used to defend herself, swinging it at his face before he could pin her against the wall again. She could still feel his handprint burning on her throat. "Lily!" His voice echoed through the restaurant like thunder. Not the smooth, charming voice he used in public. Not the voice that had convinced her mother she'd found a good man. This was the real Marcus Webb, raw, violent, and completely unhinged. "You think you can run from me in my town?" She didn't look back. Looking back meant slowing down. Slowing down meant dying. Her lungs screamed for air. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. 18 years old, and she'd already learned the most brutal lesson life could teach: the monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the man who pays for your college applications and brings flowers to your mother. The elevator was 20 feet away. 15. 10. "Someone stop her," Marcus commanded. "She stole from me. She's on drugs." Lily heard footsteps behind her. Not just Marcus now. His employees, his loyal soldiers who would do anything to please the boss. The same people who had watched him drag her into his office by her hair and said nothing. Did nothing. She reached the elevator and slammed her palm against the button. Once. Twice. 3 times. "Come on, come on, come on!" The doors began to open with agonizing slowness. Marcus was getting closer. She could hear his breathing, heavy with rage. Could smell his cologne, the expensive brand that used to make her feel special, and now made her want to vomit. "Lily." His voice dropped lower, dangerous. "If you get in that elevator, I swear to God." She threw herself through the gap before the doors fully opened, and collided with something solid. Someone solid. For one terrifying moment, she thought Marcus had somehow gotten ahead of her. That it was all a trap. That this was where her story ended, in a metal box between floors where no one would hear her scream. But when she looked up, it wasn't Marcus staring down at her. It was a stranger. Tall. Broad. A face carved from stone and scarred from violence. His eyes were dark, almost black in the fluorescent lighting, and they swept over her with the cold assessment of a predator sizing up potential prey. Tattoos crawled up his neck, disappearing beneath a black t-shirt. His leather jacket bore patches she didn't recognize except for one. A skull engulfed in flames. And beneath it 2 words, "Iron Devils." Lily's blood turned to ice. She knew that patch. Everyone in Texas knew that patch. The Iron Devils were legends, the kind of legends mothers used to scare their children into behaving. Outlaws. Criminals. Men who operated outside the law and answered to no one. She had escaped Marcus Webb, and now she was trapped in an elevator with a Hell's Angel. The doors began to close behind her. "Lily!" Marcus reached the elevator just as the gap narrowed. His hand shot through, grabbing for her arm. His fingers brushed her wrist, and Lily jerked backward with a strangled cry. The stranger moved. One moment he was standing still, a statue of leather and ink. The next, his boot connected with Marcus's forearm with a crack that made Lily's stomach turn. Marcus howled in pain, his hand retracting just as the elevator doors sealed shut. Silence. The elevator hummed as it began its descent. Lily pressed herself against the back wall, her chest heaving. Her heart was beating so hard she could feel it in her throat, her temples, her fingertips. The stranger hadn't moved again. He stood facing the doors, his back to her, like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just assaulted the most powerful man in Pinewood, Texas. "You're bleeding." His voice was gravel and smoke, low, rough, the kind of voice that had seen things, done things, survived things that would break ordinary men. Lily touched her lip. Her fingers came away red. She hadn't even felt the cut. The adrenaline had numbed everything except the primal need to survive. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Lying doesn't suit you." He still didn't turn around. His shoulders were tense beneath the leather, coiled like a spring waiting to release. Lily noticed his hands, scarred knuckles, calloused palms, the kind of hands that knew violence intimately. Who was he? The question caught her off guard. What? The man chasing you. Who was he? Lily swallowed hard. Nobody. Nobody doesn't chase a woman through a building screaming like that. His head turned slightly, just enough for her to see the sharp angle of his jaw. A scar ran along it, white against tanned skin. Nobody doesn't grab at women like he owns them. He thinks he does, Lily heard herself say. Own me, I mean. The stranger was quiet for a moment. The elevator continued its descent, the floor numbers ticking down with soft dings that felt like a countdown to something Lily couldn't name. Does he what? Own you? Lily's hands clenched into fists at her sides. 6 months ago, she might have said yes. 6 months ago, she had believed Marcus when he told her she was nothing without him. That no one else would ever want her. That she was lucky he put up with her stupidity, her clumsiness, her worthlessness. But something had shifted tonight. When she'd seen the knife in his hand, something inside her had snapped. Not broken. Snapped awake. No, she said, and her voice was stronger than she expected. He doesn't own me. The stranger nodded once, a small movement that somehow felt like approval. The elevator slowed as it approached the lobby level. Through the walls, Lily could hear muffled voices, angry voices. Marcus's men waiting for her. Her brief surge of courage evaporated. They're down there, she breathed. His people. They're waiting. The stranger finally turned to face her. His expression was unreadable, but something flickered in those dark eyes. Something that might have been recognition. Understanding. How many? I don't know. 3, 4. Marcus has a lot of people who do what he says. Does he pay them well? What? Men who are paid well fight hard. Men who are paid in fear fold fast. His hand moved to his hip, and Lily saw the glint of metal beneath his jacket. A gun. Her breath caught. Which kind does your nobody have? She thought about Marcus's employees. The way they jumped when he raised his voice. The way they avoided eye contact when he was in one of his moods. The way they pretended not to see the bruises on her arms. Fear, she said quietly. He pays them in fear. The stranger smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a wolf who had just learned his prey was defenseless. Good. The elevator reached the lobby with a soft chime. The doors began to open. Lily's heart stopped. 3 men stood in a semicircle around the elevator entrance, their faces hard, their postures aggressive. She recognized 2 of them kitchen workers who had watched Marcus scream at her countless times without intervening. The third was Marcus's manager, a thick-necked man named Dale, who had once told her she should be grateful such an important man paid attention to a girl like her. Dale stepped forward, his piggy eyes fixed on Lily. "Come on out, sweetheart. Mr. Webb just wants to talk." The stranger didn't move. "I said come out." Dale's voice sharpened. "Both of you, now." "No." The single word hung in the air like a gunshot. Dale blinked confusion flickering across his face. "What did you say?" "I said no." The stranger's hand rested casually on his belt, inches from his weapon. "The lady's coming with me." Dale laughed, a short, ugly sound. "Do you know who you're dealing with?" "Marcus Webb owns this town. He owns the sheriff, he owns the mayor, I don't care. You should care, friend. Because if you don't hand her over right now, Marcus is going to what?" The stranger took 1 step forward, just 1. But something in that movement made all 3 men flinch backward. "Going to call his cousin the sheriff," the stranger continued. "Going to have me arrested, going to make me disappear." He tilted his head, and the lobby lights caught the skull patch on his chest. "Men have tried. Better men than your boss. Richer men. More powerful men." He took another step. "They're all dead now." Dale's face went pale. His eyes dropped to the patch, then back up to the stranger's face. The recognition hit him like a physical blow. You're Iron Devils. Smart man. Look, we don't want any trouble with you people. Then move." Dale looked at his companions. Neither of them would meet his eyes. The fear Marcus had instilled in them was powerful, but it was nothing compared to the fear radiating from the man in front of them. "Marcus is going to kill us," Dale whispered. "Maybe," the stranger agreed. "But I'm here right now, and I promise you whatever Marcus might do later, I can do worse." A long moment passed. Lily forgot to breathe. Then Dale stepped aside. The other 2 followed immediately, pressing themselves against the walls like they were trying to become invisible. The stranger reached back without looking, and his hand found Lily's wrist, gentle, despite its roughness, guiding rather than grabbing. "Walk," he said quietly. "Don't run. Don't look at them. Just walk." Lily walked. Her legs felt like jelly. Her bare feet left bloody prints on the marble floor, and she realized distantly that she must have cut herself somewhere during her escape. The 3 men watched her pass with a mixture of relief and terror, none of them daring to move. The lobby doors were just ahead. Freedom, fresh air, escape. They were 10 feet away when Marcus's voice cut through the air. "Stop!" Lily's feet froze before her brain caught up. 18 months of conditioning of learning that disobeying Marcus meant pain locked her muscles in place. She felt the stranger's grip tighten on her wrist. "Keep walking." "I can't." "Yes, you can." His voice was steady, certain. "He doesn't own you anymore. You said it yourself. Now prove it." Marcus was coming down the stairs from his office, his face twisted with fury. His right arm hung at an odd angle. The stranger's kick had done damage, but his left hand held something that made Lily's blood run cold. The knife. The same knife he'd threatened her with upstairs. The same knife that had finally made her run. "You think you can take what's mine?" Marcus screamed. "You think some biker trash can just walk into my restaurant and take my girl?" The stranger stopped walking. His hand released Lily's wrist and moved to his hip. "Lily, go outside, now." But now, There was no room for argument in his voice. Lily backed toward the doors, her eyes fixed on Marcus as he descended the final steps. His employees had scattered. Dale and the others had vanished entirely. It was just Marcus and the stranger, now facing each other across the empty lobby. "Do you know who I am?" Marcus demanded. "I know exactly who you are." "Then you know what I can do to you. I own this town. I own the police. You own nothing." The stranger's hand closed around the grip of his gun, though he didn't draw it. "You're a little man with a little kingdom, and you've never met anyone you couldn't buy or bully. But I don't take bribes, and I don't scare easy." Marcus's grip tightened on the knife. "She's mine. We have an understanding." The bruises on her throat say your understanding is over. "This is none of your business." "I'm making it my business." For a moment, Lily thought Marcus would attack. She could see it in his eyes, the calculation, the rage, the desperate need to maintain control. He had never been challenged like this. Not in his own restaurant, not in his own town. But something in the stranger's stance made him hesitate. Some instinct buried deep beneath his ego recognized the difference between a man who threatened violence and a man who lived it. Marcus lowered the knife. "This isn't over," he said, his voice shaking with barely contained fury. "You think you can protect her? You think your little motorcycle club can stand against everything I have? I think you should worry about yourself right now. She'll come back to me. They always do. She has nowhere else to go. No money, no family that matters nothing. She needs me." The stranger smiled that wolf smile again. "That's where you're wrong." He backed toward the door, never taking his eyes off Marcus. Lily was already outside, the night air cool against her fevered skin. She heard the stranger's boots on the pavement, felt his presence beside her. "Move, quickly." They rounded the corner of the building, and Lily saw it a motorcycle, black and chrome, gleaming under the streetlights. The stranger threw his leg over it and turned the key. The engine roared to life, loud enough to shake her bones. "Get on!" I've never... Hold on to me. Don't let go." She climbed on behind him, her bare feet finding the pegs, her arms wrapping around his waist. His body was solid warm, a barrier between her and everything she was running from. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe." The motorcycle lurched forward, and Lily held on for her life. Behind them, she heard Marcus burst through the restaurant doors. His screams followed them down the street, promising vengeance, promising pain, promising that this wasn't over. But for the first time in 18 months, Lily didn't believe him. She was out. She was free. She was alive. Whatever came next, she had survived tonight. The stranger, this Hell's Angel who had appeared from nowhere and saved her life, didn't speak as they rode through the empty streets of Pinewood. The town she'd grown up in looked different at night, transformed by fear and speed and the rumble of the motorcycle beneath her. They passed her mother's house. The lights were off. Carol Monroe worked double shifts at the diner most nights, too exhausted to wait up for a daughter who rarely came home anymore. Lily wondered if her mother knew, if she suspected, if she had seen the signs and chosen to ignore them because Marcus was so charming, so helpful, so perfect. The motorcycle turned onto a highway she didn't recognize. "Wait!" Lily shouted over the engine. "Where are you taking me?" "I told you, somewhere safe." "But my mother can't help you right now. She doesn't know what Marcus is. She thinks he's a good man, a saint." The stranger's voice was hard. "She thinks wrong, but that's a conversation for another time." Lily wanted to argue, wanted to demand he turn around, take her home, let her explain everything to her mother. But she was exhausted and hurt, and her throat still burned where Marcus had squeezed. She didn't have the strength to fight anymore. so she held on tighter, pressed her face against the stranger's leather-clad back, and let the night swallow her whole. They rode for nearly an hour. The lights of Pinewood faded behind them, replaced by dark stretches of highway and the occasional glow of distant farmhouses. Lily's body ached from tension and cold, her bare feet numb against the metal pegs. Finally, they turned onto a gravel road. The motorcycle slowed its headlight, illuminating a chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. A gate blocked their path. The stranger pulled out a phone and typed something. 30 seconds later, the gate swung open. They rode through. A large building loomed ahead, industrial and imposing. It looked like a warehouse, the kind you'd find in the forgotten corners of any Texas town. But there were motorcycles parked outside. Dozens of them. And men standing guard at the entrance, their leather jackets matching the strangers'. More iron devils. Lily's arms tightened around the stranger's waist. "Easy," he said. "You're not in danger here. You're asking me to trust you. I'm asking you to trust that you're safer with us than with him." It wasn't a high bar to clear. The motorcycle stopped near the entrance. The stranger killed the engine and dismounted, then turned to help Lily off. Her legs nearly buckled when they touched the ground. "Can you walk?" "I think so." He steadied her with one hand, surprisingly gentle, given what she'd seen him capable of. The guards at the entrance nodded to him as they approached, respect in their eyes, deference in their posture. "Jax." One of them spoke, a bearded man with arms like tree trunks. "Preacher's waiting. Said you might be bringing someone." Jax. The stranger had a name. "She's under club protection now," Jax said. "No one touches her. No one questions her. Understood? Understood." The doors opened, and Lily stepped into a world she had never known existed. The warehouse interior had been transformed into something between a clubhouse and a community center. Tables and chairs filled the main space, occupied by men and women of all ages. Children played in a corner, supervised by older women who looked up sharply at Lily's entrance. The smell of cooking food drifted from somewhere in the back, something savory and comforting that made Lily's empty stomach clench. But what struck her most was the silence that fell when she appeared. Every eye turned to her, took in her bare feet, her torn dress, the blood on her lip, the bruises already darkening her throat. No one spoke. No one moved. Then from the crowd an older man emerged. He was 60, at least, his hair silver beneath a bandana, his face weathered by sun and time and hard living. His eyes were sharp, though sharp, and knowing, as they swept over Lily with an assessment that felt almost clinical. "This her?" he asked Jax. "This is her." The older man approached. Lily forced herself to stand straight, to not flinch when he stopped mere feet away. "What's your name, girl?" "Lily." "Lily Monroe." Lily Monroe. He repeated it slowly, like he was committing it to memory. "Do you know who I am?" "No, sir." "They call me Preacher. I founded this club 40 years ago, and I've led it ever since. What happens under this roof happens under my authority." He paused. "You understand?" Yes." "Good." His expression softened just slightly. "Then understand this too. No one hurts you here. Not my boys, not anyone else. You're under my protection now, and that means something in this world." Lily felt tears prick at her eyes. She blinked them back furiously. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why, you don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Preacher exchanged a look with Jax. Something passed between them, a shared memory, a shared pain that Lily couldn't decipher. "Because once," Preacher said quietly, I didn't protect someone who needed it. And she died. My daughter. My baby girl. Her husband beat her to death while I was too busy running an empire to notice she needed help. Lily's breath caught. I started this network because of her. Because no one should go through what she went through. What you're going through. He reached out and gently touched Lily's chin, tilting her face toward the light. His jaw tightened at what he saw. Who did this to you? His name is Marcus Webb. Several people in the room shifted. Someone swore under their breath. Senator Webb's son, Preacher asked. Grandson. Preacher's expression darkened. That family. That goddamn family. He released her chin and stepped back. Jax, take her to the guest quarters. Get her cleaned up, fed, rested. We'll talk more in the morning. Jax nodded. Come on. Lily followed him through the warehouse past curious eyes and murmured conversations. Every step took her further from the life she'd known, further from Marcus, further from everything she'd been told was normal. The guest quarters were simple, a small room with a bed, a dresser, and a bathroom. Clean clothes had been laid out on the mattress. A first aid kit sat on the dresser. You'll be safe here, Jax said from the doorway. No one comes in without your permission. Not even me. Lily turned to face him. In the harsh overhead light, she could see his features more clearly, the scars, the hardness, the strange gentleness hiding beneath it all. Why did you help me? She asked. In the elevator. You didn't know me. You didn't know anything about my situation. You just helped. Why? Jax was quiet for a long moment. Because I had a sister once, he said finally. Her name was Emma. She was bright and beautiful and full of life, and she fell in love with a man who seemed perfect on the outside. His voice didn't waver, but Lily could hear the weight behind every word. He killed her. Beat her so badly her own mother didn't recognize her at the funeral. And I wasn't there to stop it. I was overseas serving my country while my sister was dying in a trailer park 200 miles from home. I'm so sorry. I made a promise at her grave that I would never let another woman go through what Emma went through, not if I could stop it. His dark eyes met hers. When I saw you in that elevator, I saw her. Running. Scared. Desperate. And I knew I couldn't walk away. Lily felt the tears finally fall. She didn't try to stop them this time. Thank you, she whispered. You saved my life. Not yet. Jax's expression hardened. Marcus Webb isn't going to let you go easily. He has money power connections. He'll come after you. And when he does, we need to be ready. What do we do? Rest tonight. Tomorrow we plan. He turned to leave, then paused. And Lily, yes, you're not alone anymore. Whatever happens next, you don't face it alone. The door closed behind him. Lily stood in the center of the room, trembling. Her body ached, her throat burned, her feet were cut and bleeding. But beneath all the pain, something else was stirring. Hope. For the first time in 18 months, she felt hope. She sank onto the bed and let herself cry, really cry, the deep, racking sobs she'd been holding back for so long. She cried for the girl she used to be before Marcus. She cried for the months of pain and fear and isolation. She cried for Emma, the sister Jax had lost. She cried for Preacher's daughter, whose death had somehow led to this moment. And when the tears finally stopped, something new emerged from the wreckage. Determination. Marcus Webb had controlled her life for 18 months. He had made her believe she was worthless. Made her believe she deserved every bruise, every insult, every moment of terror. But he was wrong. She wasn't worthless. She was a survivor. And this time she wasn't running away. She was running toward something. Toward justice. Toward freedom. Toward a future Marcus Webb would never be able to touch. Lily Monroe was 18 years old, and she was just getting started. Lily woke to the sound of voices. For one terrible moment, she didn't know where she was. Her body tensed, waiting for the familiar weight of Marcus's arm across her chest, the suffocating presence that had become her prison. But the bed beneath her was unfamiliar, and the voices outside were rough, masculine, nothing like the cold silence of Marcus's penthouse. Then she remembered. The elevator. The stranger. The motorcycle ride through the darkness. The warehouse full of leather-clad men and women who had looked at her bruises without judgment. She was safe. For now. Lily pushed herself upright, wincing at the pain that radiated through her body. Every muscle ached. Her throat felt like she'd swallowed glass. When she touched her lip, the cut had scabbed over a crusty reminder of Marcus's final blow. The clothes someone had left for her were simple jeans, a black t-shirt, worn boots that were slightly too big. She dressed quickly, her hands still trembling. The mirror in the bathroom showed a face she barely recognized. Dark circles under her eyes. Bruises blooming across her neck like poisonous flowers. A haunted look that made her seem older than 18. This was what Marcus had done to her. This was what she had allowed him to do. A knock at the door made her jump. "Lily," a woman's voice, warm and unfamiliar. "You awake, honey?" Lily opened the door to find a woman in her 50s standing there. Silver-streaked hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Kind eyes that immediately dropped to the bruises on Lily's neck. "Lord have mercy," the woman breathed. "That boy did a number on you." "I'm okay." "No, sweetheart, you're not. But you will be." The woman extended her hand. "I'm May, preacher's wife. Been running this place since before you were born." Lily shook her hand hesitantly. "I don't understand what this place is." "Breakfast first, explanations after." May's tone left no room for argument. "You look like you haven't eaten in days." She wasn't wrong. Lily followed May through the warehouse past clusters of people who nodded at her with varying degrees of curiosity and sympathy. In the daylight streaming through high windows, she could see details she'd missed the night before. Children doing homework at folding tables, women sorting through donations of clothing, men working on motorcycles in a cordoned-off section. It looked less like a biker clubhouse and more like a community center. "Confused?" May asked, catching her expression. "This isn't what I expected." "Never is." May led her to a kitchen area where the smell of bacon and eggs made Lily's stomach growl audibly. "Sit, eat, then we'll talk." Lily sat. May loaded a plate with enough food to feed 3 people and set it in front of her. "Don't argue. Just eat." She ate. The food was simple but good, and Lily realized she couldn't remember her last real meal. Marcus had controlled everything, including when and what she ate. "Better?" May asked when the plate was clean. "Yes, thank you." May sat across from her, folding her hands on the table. "Now, I imagine you have questions." "About 1,000. "Start with 1. Lily hesitated. Why do you help people like me? What do you get out of it?" May's expression softened with old pain. "You met Preacher last night. Did he tell you about Sarah?" "His daughter." "Our daughter." May's voice caught slightly. "She was 22 when she married him. David, his name was. Seemed like a nice boy. Good job, good family, went to church every Sunday." She shook her head. We didn't see it. The signs were all there, but we didn't want to see them. What happened? He killed her. Beat her so bad the coroner couldn't determine which blow was the final one. Might have been the one that broke her jaw. Might have been the one that cracked her skull. Might have been when he threw her down the stairs. May's hands had tightened into fists. She'd called us the week before, said she was thinking about leaving him. We told her to work it out. Told her marriage was hard, but you had to stick with it. Lily felt sick. She's dead because we didn't listen, May continued. Because we believed what everyone else believed, that David was a good man, that Sarah was exaggerating, that it couldn't really be that bad. She met Lily's eyes. After we buried her, Preacher swore he'd never let another woman die like that. Not if he could help it. So you built this place. This place and a dozen others across Texas. Safe houses, networks, people who know how to make someone disappear when they need to disappear. May reached across the table and took Lily's hand. You're not the first girl we've helped, honey. And you won't be the last. Lily's eyes burned with unshed tears. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank us yet. Marcus Webb isn't going to let you go without a fight. And that family... May's expression darkened. They have power. Real power. The kind that makes people look the other way. I know. Do you really know what you're up against? May squeezed her hand. His grandfather was a state senator. His father runs half the businesses in this county. Marcus himself has the sheriff, the mayor, half the town council in his pocket. When he comes looking for you, and he will, it won't be with fists. It'll be with lawyers and lawmen and every legal weapon money can buy. Before Lily could respond, the door to the kitchen burst open. Jax stood there, his face grim. May, we've got a problem. What kind? The kind that's all over the morning news. May released Lily's hand and stood. Show me. They followed Jax to the main area where a crowd had gathered around a television mounted on the wall. Lily pushed her way to the front, and her blood turned to ice. Marcus Webb's face filled the screen. He was standing in front of his restaurant, surrounded by reporters. His arm was in a sling, the damage from Jax's kick, and his expression was the perfect mask of wounded innocence. I just want her to come home, Marcus was saying, his voice cracking with manufactured emotion. Lily is a troubled young woman. She has a history of mental health issues, substance abuse problems. I've been trying to help her, but last night she had some kind of breakdown. Mr. Webb, there are reports that a member of a motorcycle gang was involved in her disappearance. Can you comment on that? Marcus's jaw tightened. I don't want to speculate. All I know is that I love Lily, and I'm terrified for her safety. These people, these criminals, they prey on vulnerable women. God knows what they're doing to her right now. Lily's hands shook. He's lying. He's lying about everything. We know, Jax said quietly. I have to go out there. I have to tell people the truth. And say what? May cut her off. That you ran from him because he was going to kill you. You have no proof, no witnesses, no evidence. It's your word against his, and in this town, his word is gospel. So would I just hide here forever while he tells the whole world I'm crazy? For now, yes. Preacher's voice came from behind them. Lily turned to find him watching the television with cold fury in his eyes. We need time to build a case. Document everything. Find other victims. Other victims. Preacher's gaze shifted to her. You think you're the first woman Marcus Webb has hurt? The question hung in the air. Lily thought about the 18 months she'd spent with Marcus. The possessiveness. The control. The way he'd said, "You're mine," like it was a fact of nature, immutable and eternal. No, she whispered. I don't think I was the first. You weren't. Jax stepped forward. We've been watching the Webb family for years. 3 women, All young, all connected to Marcus, all gone. Gone. One suicide, one car accident, one just vanished. His dark eyes met hers. You would have been number 4. Lily's legs gave out. She would have hit the floor if Jax hadn't caught her, his strong arms steadying her until she could stand on her own. I was going to die, she breathed. Yes. He was going to kill me, and everyone would have believed it was my fault. Yes. The word hit her like a physical blow. All those months of self-doubt of wondering if she was overreacting, if Marcus really was as bad as she thought, they crystallized into a single, horrifying truth. She had been marked for death, and no one would have questioned it. I want to help, she said, her voice stronger now. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're planning, I want to be part of it. Preacher studied her for a long moment. This isn't a game, girl. Going up against the webs means risking everything. Your life, your mother's life, everyone you've ever cared about. My mother. Lily felt a fresh wave of panic. Marcus knows where she lives. He knows where she works. What if he already handled? May put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We've got people watching her. She's safe. She doesn't know about any of this. She thinks Marcus is perfect, I know. May's voice was gentle. That's something we'll have to deal with. But not today. Today you rest, you heal, you let us handle the immediate threats. Lily wanted to argue, wanted to rush back to Pinewood and shake her mother until she understood the truth. But she was exhausted and hurt, and somewhere deep down she knew May was right. One step at a time. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. The day passed in a blur. Lily learned more about the Iron Devil's network. The safe houses scattered across the state, the women and children who had passed through their doors escaping situations like hers. The legal team, yes, they had lawyers who worked pro bono to help survivors navigate restraining orders and custody battles. It was an entire underground railroad for victims of domestic violence, and it had been operating for 20 years without anyone knowing. How do you keep it secret? She asked Ghost, the club's intelligence expert. He was a wiry man with glasses and a quiet intensity that seemed at odds with his motorcycle club membership. Carefully, he replied. No digital footprint, no paper trail. Everything's word-of-mouth referral only. You don't find us. We find you. How did Jax find me? Ghost smiled slightly. He was at that restaurant on other business. Saw you running. Made a decision. He shrugged. Sometimes fate puts the right people in the right place. Fate. Lily wasn't sure she believed in fate anymore, but she was grateful for whatever force had put Jax in that elevator. As evening fell, Lily found herself on the roof of the warehouse, watching the sun sink below the Texas horizon. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple, beautiful and indifferent to the chaos of human lives below. Footsteps behind her. She didn't need to turn to know who it was. You should be resting, Jax said. Couldn't sleep. He came to stand beside her, his presence solid and strangely comforting. Thinking about your mother, thinking about everything. Lily wrapped her arms around herself. This time yesterday I was getting ready for dinner with Marcus, putting on the dress he picked out, doing my makeup the way he liked it, practicing my smile in the mirror so he wouldn't get angry. And now I don't know who I am anymore. She finally looked at him. For 18 months, I was Marcus Webb's girlfriend. That was my entire identity. Everything I did, everything I said, everything I wore, it was all about him. What would make him happy? What would keep him calm? What would stop the hitting? Jax was quiet for a moment. My sister said something like that once, about her husband. She said she'd lost herself so completely she wasn't sure there was anything left to find. Did she find it before? I don't know. His voice was heavy with old grief. I like to think she was starting to. She'd reached out to our mother, started talking about leaving. Maybe if she'd had more time, but she didn't. No, she didn't. They stood in silence, watching the last light fade from the sky. I'm not going to let that happen to you, Jack said finally. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, Marcus Webb is not going to win this. You barely know me. I know enough. He turned to face her, his dark eyes intense. I know you ran when every instinct told you to stay. I know you fought back when it would have been easier to submit. I know you're standing here right now, scared out of your mind, but still standing. He shook his head. That's more than most people ever manage. Lily felt tears threatening again. I don't feel brave. Bravery isn't about not feeling fear. It's about feeling fear and acting anyway. Jax's hand found her shoulder, a brief touch that somehow said more than words could. You're braver than you know, Lily Monroe. Don't let anyone, especially Marcus Webb, tell you different. The moment was interrupted by Ghost's voice from the roof access door. Jax, we've got movement. Jax's demeanor changed instantly. The gentle man who'd been comforting her vanished, replaced by the cold-eyed warrior she'd first met in the elevator. What kind of movement? Sheriff's Department. 3 cars heading this way. How far out? 20 minutes, maybe less, when Jax swore under his breath. Get everyone to their positions. Non-essential personnel into the tunnels. Lily, you're with May. What's happening? Marcus called in his favors. Jax was already moving toward the door. The sheriff's coming to collect you. Lily's heart hammered. You said I was safe here. You are. But we need to do this carefully. No violence unless absolutely necessary. The last thing we need is to give them a reason to raid this place for real. They descended into controlled chaos. Women and children were being shepherded toward a door Lily hadn't noticed before. A door that led to underground tunnels, Ghost explained quickly as he passed. Men were taking up positions near the entrances, their weapons concealed but accessible. May appeared at Lily's side and grabbed her hand. Come with me, now. Where are we going? Somewhere they won't find you. May led her through a maze of hallways to a small room behind the kitchen. A section of the floor was open, revealing a ladder that descended into darkness. Down, May ordered. There's a safe room at the bottom. Stay there until someone comes to get you. No arguments. May's grip tightened on her hand. You've survived too much to get caught now. Go. Lily climbed down the ladder. The safe room was small, but well-equipped. Cots, bottled water, first aid supplies, even a radio that crackled with occasional communication from above. Lily sat on one of the cots and tried to control her breathing. From above, she could hear muffled voices, the rumble of engines, the sharp sound of a door being pounded. Then Preacher's voice, calm and commanding. Sheriff Dawkins, what brings you all the way out here? Don't play games with me, Preacher. We know you've got her. Got who? The Monroe girl, Lily. Her boyfriend says your people kidnapped her. Kidnapped? Preacher laughed. That's quite an accusation. You got a warrant. A pause. I don't need a warrant when there's an immediate threat to someone's safety. Whose safety? Because from where I'm standing, the only threat I see is a man who sent 3 cars of armed deputies to harass a private organization without proper legal authority. Now listen here. No, you listen. Preacher's voice hardened. I know why you're really here, Dawkins. I know whose pocket you're in. And I know that if you step 1 foot on this property without a warrant, I'll have every civil rights lawyer in Texas on your doorstep by morning. You're making a big mistake, old man. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, Sheriff. This isn't one of them. A pause. Now, unless you've got that warrant, I suggest you get back in your cars and drive away. Tell Marcus Webb that his money doesn't buy everything. And it sure as hell doesn't buy me." Lily held her breath. The radio crackled. Ghost's voice came through barely above a whisper. "They're leaving. 3 cars heading back toward town." Relief flooded through her so intensely she nearly collapsed. 10 minutes later, May's face appeared at the top of the ladder. "All clear. You can come up now." Lily climbed out of the safe room on shaking legs. Preacher was waiting for her, his expression grim but satisfied. "He's not going to stop," Lily said. "No, he's not." "What do we do?" Preacher exchanged a look with Jax, who had appeared at his shoulder. Something passed between them, a decision made in silence. "We stop playing defense," Preacher said finally. "It's time to show Marcus Webb what happens when you go to war with the Iron Devils." "How?" "By finding out exactly what happened to those other women. By building a case so strong even his money can't make it disappear. By burning his whole empire to the ground." Lily felt something shift inside her. The fear was still there, probably always would be. But beneath it, something else was taking root. Something stronger. Determination. Purpose. Rage. "I want to help," she said. "Whatever you need me to do, I'm in." Preacher studied her for a long moment. "This won't be easy. It won't be safe. And there's a good chance it gets worse before it gets better. I don't care. Your mother could get dragged into this. She's already in it. She just doesn't know it yet." Preacher nodded slowly. "All right then. Welcome to the team, Lily Monroe." He turned to Jax. "Get Ghost. We've got work to do." As they walked back into the main room, Lily's phone buzzed in her pocket. She hadn't even realized she still had it. With trembling fingers, she pulled it out and looked at the screen. One new message. From Marcus. She opened it. The text was simple. Just 2 words. "I'm coming." Below it was a photo. Her mother's house, taken from across the street. The lights were on in the kitchen, and standing at the window completely unaware she was being watched was Carol Monroe. Lily's blood turned to ice. Marcus had sent a message, a threat, a promise. He wasn't going to wait for the legal system to bring her back. He was going to take what was his, and God help anyone who got in his way. Lily looked up to find Jax watching her, his eyes sharp with concern. "What is it?" She turned the phone around and showed him the picture. Jax's expression went cold. Colder than she'd ever seen it. "Ghost," he called without looking away from the screen. "Change of plans. We're moving tonight." "Where?" Jax met Lily's eyes. "Pinewood," he said. "It's time to bring her mother in." The night had just begun, and somewhere in the darkness Marcus Webb was hunting, but he'd forgotten something important. Something that would cost him everything. Lily Monroe was no longer prey. She was learning to hunt, too. The motorcycle convoy cut through the Texas night like a blade. Lily rode behind Jax, her arms wrapped tight around his waist, her heart pounding against his back. 6 bikes in total. Jax Ghost and 4 other Iron Devils whose names she hadn't learned yet. They moved without headlights for the first mile, ghosts on the highway, invisible to anyone watching from the road. "How much further?" she shouted over the wind. 20 minutes! 20 minutes until she faced her mother. 20 minutes until she had to explain why she'd run. Why she'd hidden. Why everything Carol Monroe believed about Marcus Webb was a lie. The photo burned in her mind. Her mother at the kitchen window, completely unaware that a monster was watching from the shadows. Marcus had been there. Maybe was still there. Waiting. Ghost's voice crackled through the earpiece Jax had given her. "No movement at the house. One car parked across the street, been there 2 hours. Could be Marcus's people. Just one that we can see. Jax's body tensed beneath her hands. He's baiting us. Obviously. Question is, do we bite? We don't have a choice. The convoy split at the edge of town. 4 bikes peeled off to establish a perimeter. Jax and Ghost continued toward Carol's neighborhood, their engines throttled down to a whisper. They stopped 2 blocks away. Stay here, Jax said, dismounting. No. Lily. That's my mother in there. I'm not waiting while You're not waiting. You're staying safe. His hands found her shoulders firm but gentle. If something happens to me, you run. You get back to the clubhouse. You let Preacher handle the rest. Nothing's going to happen to you. Probably not. But if it does, the worst thing you can do is get captured too. His dark eyes met hers. Promise me. Lily didn't want to promise. Every instinct screamed at her to charge into that house, grab her mother, and never look back. But she understood strategy now. Understood that emotion without calculation got people killed. I promise. Jax nodded and melted into the darkness. Ghost stayed with her, his hand resting on the gun at his hip. They waited in silence, watching the street, listening for any sound of trouble. 5 minutes passed. 10. Lily's nerves stretched to the breaking point. Then her earpiece crackled. We've got a problem. Ghost stiffened. What kind? The car across the street. It's empty. Has been for hours. That doesn't make sense. Who leaves a surveillance vehicle? It's not surveillance. Jax's voice was tight. It's a message. There's something on the windshield. What? A pause that lasted forever. A photo. 3 women, and the words, "She'll be number 4. Lily's blood turned to ice. Get her inside, Ghost ordered. I'm bringing Lily. They moved quickly, abandoning caution for speed. Ghost kept Lily behind him as they crossed the street, his body a shield between her and whatever danger might be lurking. The front door was open. Inside, Jax stood in the living room with Carol Monroe, who was clutching a photograph in shaking hands. When she saw Lily, her face crumpled. Baby. Oh, baby, what have you done? Mom, he's been calling all day, saying you're sick, saying you need help, saying those bikers kidnapped you and they're doing terrible things. Mom, listen to me. Why didn't you come home? Why didn't you call? I've been worried sick, and Marcus, poor Marcus, he's out of his mind with, stop! Lily's voice cut through her mother's rambling like a whip crack. Carol fell silent, shocked by the force in her daughter's tone. Look at me, Mom. Really, look at me. She stepped into the light. Carol's eyes went to her throat first. The bruises had darkened overnight, purple and black, shaped unmistakably like fingers. Then her gaze traveled to Lily's lip, the cut still visible. To her arms, where smaller bruises peeked out from beneath her sleeves. Marcus did this to you. Marcus has been doing this to me for 18 months. Carol's face went white. No, he wouldn't. He's such a good man. He brings me flowers. He paid for your college applications. He hits me, Mom. He controls what I eat, what I wear, who I talk to. He tells me I'm worthless every single day. Lily's voice cracked, but didn't break. Last night he had a knife. He was going to kill me. I ran because if I didn't, I would be dead right now. I can't. Show her the photo, Jax said quietly. Ghost handed Carol the picture from the windshield. 3 women. Young, pretty, smiling in what looked like candid shots. And beneath their faces, Marcus's handwriting. Who are they? Carol whispered. Megan Torres, Lily said. Sarah Whitfield. Jennifer Reyes. I don't understand. They were Marcus's girlfriend's mom, before me. Megan supposedly committed suicide. Sarah died in a car accident. Jennifer just disappeared. Lily knelt in front of her mother, taking her trembling hands. They're all dead. All three of them. And Marcus killed them. You don't know that. We do. Ghost stepped forward. I served in Army intelligence for 12 years. I know how to find things people want to stay buried. The evidence is circumstantial, but overwhelming. Megan had no history of depression and had just filed for a restraining order against Marcus 3 days before she died. Sarah's car was tampered with the mechanic who found it was paid $50,000 to keep quiet. And Jennifer? Jennifer what? Jennifer is buried in a shallow grave about 30 miles from here. I found her last year. Never told anyone, because I knew the Webb family would make me disappear too. Carol's face had gone gray. This can't be real. It's real, Mrs. Monroe. Jax's voice was gentle, despite his hard exterior. Your daughter was going to be number 4. Marcus had already picked out the narrative troubled young woman with mental health issues, dies tragically. Everyone agrees it's a shame, but not a surprise. He's done it before. He'll do it again if we don't stop him. Carol turned to Lily, tears streaming down her face. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? The question hung in the air. Carol's silence was answer enough. He was so charming, Carol whispered finally. So helpful. After your father left, I was so scared about raising you alone. And then Marcus came along and he seemed so perfect. And I thought you were lucky. I know, Mom. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. You can protect me now. Lily squeezed her mother's hands. Come with us. We have a safe place. People who can help. And then what? Then we take Marcus down. All of it. The cover-ups, the murders, the whole Webb family empire. Lily's jaw set with determination. He's never going to hurt anyone again. Carol looked at her daughter like she was seeing her for the first time. Not the shy girl who had started dating Marcus 18 months ago. Not the hollow shell she'd become in the months since. But someone new. Someone stronger. Okay, Carol said finally. Okay, I'll come with you. Relief flooded through Lily, but it was short-lived. Jax's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his expression darkened. We need to move, now. What's wrong? Perimeter team spotted vehicles approaching. Multiple SUVs, moving fast. Ghost was already heading for the door. How many? At least 4. Could be more. Carol stood on shaking legs. What does that mean? It means Marcus isn't waiting for the sheriff anymore. Jax grabbed Carol's arm firm, but not rough, and guided her toward the back of the house. He's coming to finish this himself. They exited through the back door just as headlights appeared at the end of the street. Lily's heart hammered as she heard car doors slamming, shouted orders, boots on pavement. This way! Ghost led them through the backyard, over a fence, through another yard. The neighborhood Lily had grown up in became a maze of shadows and hiding places. Behind them, someone shouted, They're running, cut them off! More engines, more headlights. Marcus had brought an army. How did he know? Lily gasped as they ran. Doesn't matter now. Keep moving. They reached the street where they'd left the motorcycles. 2 iron devils were waiting, engines running. Take the mother, Jax ordered. Get her back to the clubhouse. What about you? We'll draw them off. Meet you there. Carol grabbed Lily's arm. I'm not leaving you. Mom, please. I said no. Carol's voice was fierce, fiercer than Lily had ever heard it. I already failed you once. I'm not failing you again. This isn't. Get on the bike, Lily. Both of us. Now. There was no time to argue. They climbed onto one of the waiting motorcycles, Carol clinging to her daughter, as the engine roared to life. "Go!" Jax shouted. They went. The next 10 minutes were a blur of speed and terror. The motorcycle weaved through back roads, cutting through fields, taking paths Lily didn't even know existed. Behind them, occasionally headlights would appear in the distance before fading again. By the time they reached the warehouse, Lily was shaking so hard she could barely dismount. May was waiting at the entrance. "Inside, both of you. Now." "Jax, we'll be fine. That man survived worse than Marcus Webb." May put an arm around Carol, who looked like she might collapse at any moment. "Let's get you somewhere safe." It was another hour before Jax and Ghost returned. Lily ran to meet them, stopping short when she saw Jax's face. Blood trickled from a cut above his eye. His knuckles were raw, split open. "What happened?" "Ran into some of Marcus's men. They won't be following anyone for a while." "Are you—" "I'm fine." He caught her arm before she could touch his face. "Lily, we need to talk." The tone of his voice made her stomach drop. "What is it?" Jax led her away from the others to a quiet corner where they wouldn't be overheard. His expression was grim. "Ghost found something. While we were dealing with the pursuit, he hacked into Marcus's personal files. And the 3 women. Megan, Sarah, Jennifer." Jax's jaw tightened. "They weren't accidents. None of them. We have proof now." "What kind of proof?" "Recordings. Marcus kept recordings. Audio files of the nights they died." He met her eyes. "He's been documenting his kills, Lily, keeping them as souvenirs." Lily felt the blood drain from her face. "He recorded everything, the begging, the screaming, everything." Jax's hands clenched into fists. "That sick bastard has been reliving those murders for years. And according to the metadata on the files, he listened to Jennifer's recording the night before you started dating him." Lily's legs gave out. Jax caught her, lowered her gently to sit against the wall. Her whole body was shaking. "He was planning this?" she whispered. "From the very beginning." "Yes." "He picked me, groomed me, made me fall in love with him." The horror of it was overwhelming. "I was never his girlfriend. I was his next victim." "Lily, how many?" She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "How many women before me, before Megan?" Jax hesitated. Ghost is still working through the files, but the earliest recording he's found so far is from 12 years ago. 12 years. Marcus had been killing women for 12 years. "He has to be stopped," Lily said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, cold, flat, determined. "He has to be stopped, Jax. If we don't stop him, he'll just find someone else. Some other girl who doesn't know any better. We're going to stop him. How he owns this town. The sheriff works for him. The courts will never convict him. His family has too much money. The local courts, maybe. But this goes beyond local now." Jax crouched in front of her, his dark eyes intense. Ghost sent the files to a federal prosecutor he trusts. Someone outside the Webb family's influence. They're building a case. That could take months, years. Maybe. Or maybe we can speed things up. "How?" Jax was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "The recordings are damning, but they're also Marcus's insurance policy. He's got recordings of other people too. Local officials, business partners, people who helped him cover up the murders." "Blackmail material." "Exactly. If those recordings go public, a lot of powerful people go down with Marcus. People who have very good reasons to want him silenced." Lily understood. "You want to turn them against each other. I want to make Marcus's allies into his enemies, Force them to choose between protecting him and protecting themselves. And you think they'll choose themselves? I think rats always abandon a sinking ship. Jack stood, extending his hand to help her up. The question is, are you willing to be the one who sinks it? Lily took his hand. Tell me what I need to do. The next 24 hours were a whirlwind of planning and preparation. Ghost worked around the clock, analyzing Marcus's files, identifying the key players, mapping out the web of corruption that had protected the Webb family for generations. The list was staggering. The sheriff, 2 judges, half the city council, the chief of police, 3 state representatives. All of them complicit. All of them with blood on their hands. The recordings are leverage, Ghost explained to the assembled group. But releasing them all at once would create chaos. People would deny everything, lawyers would swarm, and Marcus might slip through the cracks. So what do we do? Lily asked. We release them strategically, one at a time. Let each person think they're the only one exposed. Let them scramble to save themselves. While turning on Marcus to do it, Jax added. Exactly. Preacher leaned back in his chair, his weathered face thoughtful. This is dangerous. Once we start, there's no going back. The Webb family will come at us with everything they have. They're already coming at us, May pointed out. At least this way we're on offense. And Lily, Preacher's eyes found hers. You're at the center of this. Marcus won't stop until he gets to you. Are you prepared for that? Lily thought about the past 18 months. The fear, the pain, the slow erosion of everything she thought she was. She thought about Megan, Sarah, Jennifer, women she'd never met whose lives had been stolen by the same man who had claimed to love her. I'm not just prepared, she said. I want to be the one who brings him down. Preacher studied her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. All right, let's get to work. The first recording was released that night. Sheriff Dawkins, the same man who had tried to raid the warehouse receiving payment from Marcus Webb in exchange for destroying evidence related to Jennifer Reyes's disappearance. The conversation was damning. Marcus's voice casual and confident, explaining exactly how he wanted the evidence lost. Dawkins agreeing without hesitation. The recording went viral within hours. By morning, Dawkins had been suspended pending investigation. His office was swarming with state police. And Marcus Webb, for the first time in his privileged life, was on the defensive. He's panicking. Ghost reported monitoring the communications they'd intercepted. Called his father 6 times this morning. His lawyer's been at his house since dawn. What's he saying? The father's telling him to stay calm. Lawyers advising him to get ahead of the story claim the recording is doctored, threaten to sue everyone involved. Standard playbook, Jax said. He thinks he can spin his way out of this. Let him think that, Lily said quietly. Let him think he's still in control. The second recording dropped 3 days later. This one featured Judge Harrison, who had presided over the official investigation into Sarah Whitfield's death. The recording captured him agreeing to rule the death an accident in exchange for Marcus's support in an upcoming election. Judge Harrison resigned within 24 hours. The third recording was the mayor. The fourth was the chief of police. Each release sent shockwaves through Pinewood, each one bringing Marcus's empire closer to collapse. But Marcus wasn't going down without a fight. Lily was eating dinner when Jax burst into the common room. We have a problem. What now? Marcus just held a press conference. He's claiming everything is a deep fake. Says the Iron Devils manufactured the recordings to destroy him. No one's going to believe that. Some people will. Enough people. Jax's expression was grim. But that's not the problem. He announced he's filing charges against you, Lily. Theft, assault, defamation. He's trying to flip the narrative, make himself the victim, and you the criminal. That's insane. It's strategy. If he can get you arrested, get you into his territory, his system, he can make me disappear, just like the others. We won't let that happen. But the charges mean nothing if we can prove what he really is. Jax sat down across from her. The federal prosecutor is moving faster than expected. They want to bring charges within the week, but they need something more than recordings. What do they need? Testimony from someone who witnessed his violence firsthand, someone who can stand in court and tell the world exactly what Marcus Webb is. Lily understood. Me. You. She'd known this was coming. Known from the moment she'd climbed on that motorcycle that this would end with her facing Marcus one way or another. But knowing and accepting were two different things. If I testify, he'll do everything in his power to destroy me. Character assassination. Intimidation. Maybe worse. Probably. And my mother. She could be in danger too. She's already in danger. We all are. The question is whether we face that danger hiding in the shadows or standing in the light. Lily looked around the room. At May, who had lost her daughter to violence and turned her grief into a mission to save others. At Preacher, whose guilt had built an underground railroad for women like her. At Ghost, who had spent years documenting crimes he couldn't prove until now. At Jax, whose sister's death had made him the man he was today. They had all suffered. They had all lost, and they had all chosen to fight anyway. How could she do any less? I'll do it, she said. I'll testify, whatever it takes to put him away. Jax's hand found hers. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The federal prosecutor arrived the next day. Her name was Victoria Chen, and she was everything Lily had hoped for, sharp, determined, and utterly unimpressed by the Webb family's money and influence. I've been tracking Marcus Webb for 3 years, Victoria said as they sat in Preacher's office. 3 years of dead ends and closed doors. The recordings Ghost sent me are the first real evidence I've ever seen. Is it enough to convict him? The recordings alone, maybe, combined with testimony from a survivor. Victoria's eyes met Lily's. Almost certainly, but I need to be honest with you, Miss Monroe. Taking the stand against Marcus Webb will be the hardest thing you've ever done. Harder than 18 months of abuse. In some ways, yes. His lawyers will try to destroy your credibility. They'll dig up everything, every mistake you've ever made, every relationship you've ever had, every moment of weakness or doubt. They'll paint you as a liar, a gold digger, a mentally unstable woman seeking revenge. I know. And you're still willing to do this. Lily thought about the recordings, the sound of women begging for their lives, the casual cruelty in Marcus's voice as he ended them. Those women can't speak for themselves anymore. I can. That's all that matters. Victoria smiled a small, fierce expression. I was hoping you'd say that. The next few days were a blur of preparation. Victoria walked Lily through every detail of her testimony, every question she might face, every trap Marcus's lawyers might set. Ghost continued to monitor Marcus's communications, tracking his movements, his allies, his plans. And then 3 days before the grand jury hearing, everything fell apart. She's gone. Jax's voice was barely controlled as he burst into Lily's room. She was on her feet instantly. Who's gone? Your mother, Carol. She left the compound 2 hours ago. What? Why? She got a call. From Marcus. Lily's blood turned to ice. He told her he'd release information proving you were the abuser, that he had witnesses who would testify you attacked him, that the bruises on you were self-inflicted. He said if she came to meet him alone, he'd explain everything. Show her the truth. And she believed him. She wanted to believe him. She'd spent months thinking Marcus was a good man. Part of her still hopes this is all a misunderstanding. Where did she go? Jax's jaw tightened. His restaurant. She walked right into the lion's den. Lily was already grabbing her jacket. We have to go after her. It's a trap. I don't care. Lily, that's my mother, Jax. She whirled on him, her eyes blazing. I don't care if it's a trap. I don't care if Marcus has an army waiting. I am not going to let her die because of me. Jax stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right, but we do this smart. We do this together. 20 minutes later, they were on the road. Lily's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. She opened it. A photo of her mother bound to a chair. Her face was bruised. Her eyes were terrified. Beneath the photo, a message from Marcus. Come home, Lily. It's time to end this. Just you. Anyone else shows up, she dies. Lily showed the phone to Jax. His hands tightened on the handlebars. He wants you alone. I know. It's suicide. Maybe. Lily stared at the photo of her mother. The woman who had raised her, loved her, failed her, and was trying so hard to make it right. But she's all I have left. I can't let her die. There has to be another way. Lily thought about everything she'd learned in the past week. About Marcus. About his methods. About the recordings he kept as souvenirs. And suddenly, she knew exactly what to do. There is another way, she said slowly. But you're not going to like it. Tell me. Lily took a deep breath. I go in alone, just like he wants, but I'm not going as a victim. Then what? She looked at Jax, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she smiled. I'm going as bait. The plan was simple. Dangerous, but simple. Lily would walk into Marcus's restaurant alone exactly as he demanded. She would wear a wire transmitting everything to Ghost's equipment in a van parked 3 blocks away. The Iron Devils would surround the building, ready to breach at the first sign of serious danger. And Victoria Chen would be listening to every word, building her case in real time. This is insane, Jax said for the 10th time as they prepared. You're walking into a trap. I'm springing a trap, Lily corrected. There's a difference. The difference is you could die. I could have died 18 months ago. I could have died the night I ran. I could have died a dozen times since then. She met his eyes. But I didn't. And I'm not going to die tonight either. You don't know that. No, but I know Marcus. Lily's voice hardened. I know how he thinks, how he operates. He doesn't want to kill me quickly. He wants to break me first. Make me beg. Make me apologize. He needs the power trip. And you think you can use that against him? I think his ego is his weakness. Always has been. She touched Jax's face, surprising them both. I'll be okay. I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. Then promise me something instead. What? If something goes wrong, if Marcus gets the upper hand, don't let him win. Don't let him walk away from this. Even if I don't make it, you bring him down. For Megan. For Sarah. For Jennifer. For your sister. Jax's jaw tightened. Lily, promise me. A long moment passed. Then he nodded. I promise. Ghost fitted her with the wire, a tiny device hidden beneath her shirt. Range is about 1/2 mile. I'll hear everything. The moment things go sideways, we're coming in. How will you know if things go sideways? Safe word, something you wouldn't normally say. Lily thought for a moment. Pineapple. Ghost raised an eyebrow. Pineapple. Marcus hates pineapple. Threw a fit once when a waiter put it in his drink. If I say it, you'll know something's wrong. Pineapple it is. May pressed a small object into Lily's hand. a cross on a thin gold chain. "This was Sarah's," May said quietly. "My daughter's. I want you to have it." "May, I can't." "You can. You will." May's eyes were fierce with unshed tears. "Bring it back to me when this is over, along with yourself." Lily clasped the necklace around her neck, the cross resting against her heart. "I will." The drive to Marcus's restaurant felt like it lasted hours, though it couldn't have been more than 20 minutes. Lily sat in the back of Ghost's van, running through every possible scenario in her head. What Marcus might say, how she would respond, what it would take to make him confess. The van stopped 3 blocks from the restaurant. "This is as close as we can get without being spotted," Ghost said. "You sure about this?" "No." Lily opened the door. "But I'm doing it anyway." The walk to the restaurant was the longest of her life. Every step felt heavy, weighted with 18 months of fear and pain. The building loomed ahead, its windows dark except for a light on the 2nd floor. Marcus's office, where he'd hurt her so many times before. But she wasn't the same girl who had walked through those doors as his prisoner. She was something else now. Something stronger. The front door was unlocked. Lily pushed it open and stepped inside. "Hello." Her voice echoed in the empty space. "Marcus, I'm here. Alone. Just like you wanted." Silence. Then footsteps descending from above. Marcus appeared at the top of the stairs. Even now, even knowing everything she knew, Lily felt a flicker of the old fear. He looked perfect as always, designer suit hair, immaculately styled, that charming smile that had fooled so many people. But his eyes gave him away. They were cold, predatory. The eyes of a killer who had finally cornered his prey. "Lily," he said her name like a caress. "I knew you'd come. Where's my mother? Safe, for now." He descended the stairs slowly, savoring the moment. "She's a sweet woman, your mother. So trusting. So eager to believe the best in people." "Let her go, Marcus." "Let her go," he laughed. "After everything you've done, the recordings, the lawsuits, the lies you've spread about me. They're not lies. They are whatever I say they are." He reached the bottom of the stairs and began walking toward her. "This is my town, Lily. My family built it. My family runs it. Do you really think some federal prosecutor and a bunch of biker trash are going to change that? I think you're scared." Marcus stopped. His smile flickered. "Excuse me. You heard me." Lily held her ground even as every instinct screamed at her to run. "You're scared. That's why you grabbed my mother instead of coming after me directly. That's why you're hiding in your restaurant instead of facing what's coming." "I'm not hiding. I'm waiting. There's a difference." "Waiting for what?" "Your lawyers to make this go away, your family's money to buy your freedom." Lily shook her head. "It's not going to work this time. Too many people know. Too many people have heard the recordings." "Recordings can be discredited." "Not these ones. Not with testimony to back them up." Marcus's composure cracked slightly. "You're going to testify against me." "I already have. Grand jury, federal court. Everything you did to me, Marcus, every bruise, every threat, every time you told me I was worthless and nobody would believe me." Lily's voice grew stronger. "They believe me now. They believe lies. They believe truth. Your truth. Recorded in your own voice." Marcus's face twisted with rage, the real Marcus finally emerging from behind the charming mask. "You ungrateful little— What am I, Marcus? A crazy woman? A troubled girl with mental health issues? That's what you told everyone, right? That's the story you've been spinning. It's true." "It's garbage," Lily was shouting now, months of suppressed anger finally erupting. "I'm not crazy. I'm not troubled. I'm a survivor, and you're a murderer." The word hung in the air. Marcus went very still. Careful, Lily. Why? What are you going to do? Kill me like you killed Megan, like you killed Sarah, like you killed Jennifer. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You kept recordings, Marcus, audio files of their deaths. Ghost found them on your personal server. For the first time, Lily saw real fear in Marcus's eyes. That's impossible. The FBI has copies. They've identified the voices. They've matched the dates to the deaths. Lily took a step forward, her fear transforming into something fiercer. You recorded yourself murdering 3 women. You kept the files like trophies, and now everyone is going to hear them. Everyone will believe your own voice, Marcus. Megan begging you to stop. Sarah screaming as you ran her off the road. Jennifer, shut up. He lunged at her. Lily was ready. She dodged to the side, putting a table between them. Her heart was pounding, but her mind was clear. She needed him to say more, needed him to admit what he'd done in words the wire could capture. Tell me about Jennifer, she demanded. Where is she? Where did you bury her? You don't know anything. I know she disappeared 3 years ago. I know she was your girlfriend. I know nobody ever found her body. Lily's voice dropped. Until now. Marcus froze. What? Ghost found her. 30 miles from here. Shallow grave. She watched his face carefully. How long did it take you to dig it? How long did you stand there looking at what you'd done? She deserved it. The words came out before Marcus could stop them. Lily felt the confession hit her like a physical blow. He'd said it. He'd actually said it. She deserved it. Lily repeated, her voice barely a whisper. Jennifer deserved to die. Marcus's expression shifted. The fear was still there, but something else was emerging now. Something darker. Pride. They all deserved it, he said, his voice eerily calm. Every single one of them. They thought they could leave me. Thought they could just walk away like I was nothing, like I was someone they could discard. So you killed them? I showed them what happens when you cross a web. He moved around the table, stalking her. My father taught me that. Power means nothing if you're afraid to use it. Your father knows? Marcus laughed. Who do you think taught me how to hide the bodies? Who do you think paid off the medical examiner when Megan committed suicide? The Webbs have been cleaning up messes for generations, Lily. This is nothing new. The wire was capturing everything, every word, every confession, but Lily needed more. What about me? She asked. What was your plan for me? Marcus stopped moving. His eyes roamed over her face, her body, like he was seeing something that belonged to him. You were special, he said. Different from the others, more innocent, more trusting. His smile returned, but it was twisted now, ugly. I was going to take my time with you. Make it last. Make what last? The breaking. He took another step closer. The best part isn't the killing, Lily. It's watching them realize there's no escape. Watching the hope drain out of their eyes. His voice dropped to a whisper. I was so close with you. So close. And then you ran. I survived. For now. He lunged again. This time Lily wasn't fast enough. His hand closed around her arm, yanking her toward him with brutal force. Do you know what I'm going to do? He hissed, his face inches from hers. I'm going to make you watch while I deal with your mother. Then I'm going to take my time with you. And when I'm finished, nobody will ever find either of you. Lily's heart raced. This was it. The moment of maximum danger. But she had one more card to play. Pineapple, she said. Marcus blinked, confused. What? The front door exploded inward. Jax came through first, followed by 4 iron devils with weapons drawn. Behind them, Victoria Chen and 2 FBI agents. Marcus released Lily, and stumbled backward. "What the hell?" "Marcus Webb." Victoria's voice was cold and official. "You're under arrest for the murders of Megan Torres, Sarah Whitfield, and Jennifer Reyes. You have the right to remain silent. This is entrapment. This is justice." Jax positioned himself between Marcus and Lily, his entire body radiating barely controlled violence. "Long overdue. You can't do this. Do you know who my family is? My father will—" "Your father is being arrested as we speak." Victoria held up her phone, showing a news alert. "Along with your uncle, 3 judges, 2 police chiefs, and about a dozen other people who helped you cover up your crimes." Marcus's face went white. No, that's not possible. We own this town. You own nothing anymore." Lily stepped forward, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. "It's over, Marcus. All of it." For one terrible moment, she thought he might attack. The rage in his eyes was volcanic, all-consuming. He looked like a man who had lost everything and was willing to burn the world down in response. Then his shoulders slumped. The fight went out of him all at once, like air escaping a balloon. Without his power, without his family's protection, Marcus Webb was just a man. A small, pathetic man who had hurt people because it made him feel strong. The FBI agents moved in, cuffing his hands behind his back. "My mother," Lily said urgently. "Where is she?" Marcus didn't answer. His eyes were empty, staring at nothing. "She's upstairs," one of the Iron Devils called down. "Back office. She's okay, shaken up, but okay." Lily ran. She found Carol bound to a chair, her face streaked with tears and bruises. When she saw Lily, a sob escaped her throat. "Baby. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid." Lily was already cutting the ropes. "It's okay, Mom. It's over. We're safe now." He told me such lies. He said you were the one hurting him, that you were mentally unstable, that I needed to hear his side. It doesn't matter anymore." Lily pulled her mother into a fierce embrace. "None of it matters. We're alive. We're together. That's all that counts." Carol clung to her daughter, trembling. "I should have believed you. From the very beginning, I should have believed you. You believe me now. That's what matters." They held each other while chaos swirled around them, FBI agents gathering evidence, Iron Devils securing the building, Victoria Chen coordinating with her team. The Webb empire was crumbling in real time, each arrest sending shockwaves through the community that had protected them for so long. Jax appeared in the doorway. His expression softened when he saw Lily and her mother. "Everyone okay?" "We will be." Lily looked at him over her mother's shoulder. "Thank you for everything." "Don't thank me yet. We still have a lot of work to do." He was right. The arrests were just the beginning. There would be trials, testimony, months or years of legal battles as the Webb family tried to salvage what they could from the wreckage. But for the first time, Lily felt something she hadn't felt in 18 months. Hope. Real, genuine hope. The next hours were a blur of statements and interviews. Lily told her story to federal agents, then told it again to a different set of agents, then told it a third time to Victoria Chen's team. Each retelling felt like peeling off a layer of armor she hadn't known she was wearing. Carol stayed by her side through all of it, holding her hand, learning the truth piece by piece. The shock never fully left her face, but neither did the fierce determination to support her daughter. "I failed you," Carol said during a brief break. "For 18 months I failed you. You didn't know. I didn't want to know. There's a difference." Carol's eyes filled with tears. He was so charming, so helpful. I wanted so badly to believe you'd found someone good. Mom, let me finish. Carol took a shaky breath. I told myself the signs weren't there. I told myself you were exaggerating. I told myself all the things people tell themselves when they don't want to face the truth. She squeezed Lily's hand. I'll never forgive myself for that. Then don't forgive yourself. Just do better. Lily met her mother's eyes. That's all any of us can do. Dawn was breaking when they finally left the restaurant. The street outside was crowded with news vans and reporters, their cameras flashing as Lily emerged flanked by Jax and her mother. Miss Monroe, can you tell us what happened? Miss Monroe, is it true Marcus Webb killed 3 women? Miss Monroe. Victoria Chen stepped in front of them, shielding Lily from the barrage of questions. Miss Monroe will not be making any statements at this time. All inquiries should be directed to my office. They pushed through the crowd to a waiting SUV. Lily climbed inside, her mother and Jax following. The door closed, muffling the chaos outside. Where to? Ghost asked from the driver's seat. Lily looked at Jax, at her mother, at the world outside the tinted windows, a world that had been rearranged overnight, transformed by a single act of courage. Home, she said finally. Take us home. But even as she said it, she knew things would never be the same. The warehouse was quiet when they arrived. Most of the Iron Devils had been out all night supporting the operation against Marcus. Only May remained waiting at the entrance with coffee and sandwiches and the particular kind of warmth that only a mother could provide. You did it, May said, pulling Lily into a tight embrace. You actually did it. We all did it. No, sweetheart. This was you, your bravery, your testimony, your choice to fight instead of hide. May pulled back, her eyes shining. Sarah would be proud. So would all the others. Lily touched the cross, still hanging around her neck. I want to keep this, if that's okay. I was hoping you would. They ate in comfortable silence, exhaustion finally catching up with all of them. Carol kept touching Lily's arm, her shoulder, her hair, reassuring herself that her daughter was real and alive and safe. What happens now? Carol asked eventually. Now we rest, Jax said. The federal case is solid. Marcus isn't going anywhere. The others they arrested will start turning on each other within days. The whole thing will collapse under its own weight. And Lily will need to testify at trial. Probably multiple trials. Jax looked at her. It won't be easy. Defense attorneys will try to tear her apart on the stand. I'm ready, Lily said. Whatever it takes. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. Jax studied her for a long moment. She'd changed so much since that night in the elevator. The terrified girl who had crashed into him was still there somewhere deep inside. But she'd built something stronger over that foundation. Something that couldn't be broken by Marcus Webb or anyone like him. I believe you, he said finally. Lily smiled. It was small, tired, but real. Thank you for believing me when no one else did. That's not true. Preacher believed you. May believed you. Ghost the whole club. You know what I mean. He did. From that first moment in the elevator when he'd looked at her bruises and made a choice that changed both their lives. He'd seen her. The real her. Not the victim Marcus had tried to create, but the survivor she was becoming. Get some sleep, he said. Tomorrow's going to be busy. Jax, he paused at the door. Will you stay? Lily asked quietly. Not in here, just nearby. I don't want to be alone. Something shifted in his expression. The warrior softened just for a moment, revealing the man beneath. I'll be right outside, all night. Thank you. He nodded and slipped out, leaving Lily alone with her mother in the small room that had become her sanctuary. Carol was already half asleep on the second cot, exhausted by the night's events. Lily watched her for a moment, this woman who had raised her, loved her, failed her, and was now trying so hard to make things right. Family Sully was complicated. Always had been, always would be. But it was hers, and she would fight to protect it. Lily lay down and closed her eyes. Sleep came faster than she expected, pulling her into a darkness that was for once free of nightmares. She dreamed of open roads and clear skies, of freedom, of a future Marcus Webb would never be able to touch. And somewhere in that dream, she heard Emma's voice. Jax's sister, dead before her time. Victim of a monster, just like Marcus. "You did it," Emma whispered. "You did what I couldn't. You survived." Lily woke with tears on her cheeks and hope in her heart. The sun was up. A new day had begun. And for the first time in 18 months, Lily Monroe wasn't afraid. The trials would come. The testimony would be brutal. The Webb family's lawyers would throw everything they had at her, trying to discredit her, destroy her, make her regret ever speaking out. But they would fail. Because Lily wasn't fighting alone anymore. She had the Iron Devils. She had her mother. She had Jax. And she had herself scarred, yes, but stronger than she'd ever been. Marcus Webb had tried to break her. Instead, he'd forged her into something unbreakable. And now it was his turn to face the consequences. 6 months later, Lily stood outside the federal courthouse, her hands steady despite the cameras flashing in her face. The Texas sun beat down mercilessly, but she barely felt it. All her focus was on the doors behind her, where 12 jurors had just delivered the verdict that would change everything. Guilty. Marcus Webb guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder, guilty on 12 counts of obstruction of justice, guilty on conspiracy tampering with evidence, and a dozen other charges that would ensure he spent the rest of his life behind bars. Victoria Chen emerged from the courthouse, her normally composed face split by a rare smile. "We did it," she said, reaching Lily's side. "Life without parole. He's never getting out." Lily nodded slowly. She'd known the verdict was coming, the evidence had been overwhelming, the testimony devastating. But hearing it spoken aloud, watching Marcus's face crumble as the reality hit him, had unlocked something inside her she hadn't known was still locked. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over." The Marcus part, yes. Victoria's smile faded slightly. His father's trial starts next month, and there are still 7 other defendants awaiting sentencing. "I know. You'll need to testify again, multiple times." "I know that too." Victoria studied her for a moment. "You've changed, Lily. From the first day I met you to now, you're a different person." "I had to be." The crowd of reporters surged forward as they descended the courthouse steps. Questions flew at Lily from every direction, microphones thrust toward her face, cameras recording her every expression. "Miss Monroe, how do you feel about the verdict? Miss Monroe, will you be writing a book about your experience? Miss Monroe, what's your message to other victims of domestic violence?" That last question made her pause. Victoria moved to deflect the reporters, but Lily held up her hand. "I'll answer that one." The crowd fell silent. Cameras zoomed in. Millions of people across the country would see this moment, hear these words. Lily took a deep breath. "My message to other victims is simple," she said, her voice clear and strong. "You are not alone. What's happening to you is not your fault. And there are people who will believe you, who will help you, who will fight for you." She looked directly into the nearest camera. "I was 18 years old when I escaped. 18 years old and convinced I was worthless, that nobody would believe me, that I deserved what was happening. Marcus Webb spent 18 months making me believe that. He was wrong." Her voice caught slightly, but she pushed through. If you're watching this and you're in a situation like I was, please reach out. Call a hotline. Tell a friend. Tell a stranger. Tell anyone who will listen. Because your life matters. Your safety matters. You matter. She paused. And to the abusers watching the Marcus Webbs of the world who think they can hurt people and get away with it, know this. We're coming for you. All of us. The survivors, the advocates, the people who refuse to look away. Your days of hiding behind money and power are numbered. Lily stepped back. Victoria guided her through the crowd to a waiting SUV. The door closed, muffling the chaos outside. That was powerful, Victoria said. The networks are going to run that clip for weeks. I meant every word. I know you did. That's what made it powerful. The drive back to the Iron Devil's compound took 40 minutes. Lily spent most of it staring out the window, processing the emotions she'd held at bay throughout the trial. Relief. Vindication. Grief for the women who hadn't survived. Anger that it had taken so long for justice to arrive. And underneath it all, a strange emptiness. For 6 months, her entire existence had revolved around this moment, preparing testimony, reviewing evidence, facing Marcus across a courtroom while his lawyers tried to destroy her credibility. Now that it was over, she didn't quite know who she was supposed to be. The compound was crowded when they arrived. News of the verdict had spread fast, and Iron Devils from chapters across Texas had gathered to celebrate. Lily was immediately surrounded by people wanting to congratulate her, hug her, tell her how proud they were. She smiled and thanked them, and tried to feel the joy they clearly expected. But it wasn't until she saw Jax that something finally broke through the numbness. He was standing apart from the crowd, watching her with those dark eyes that had seen so much violence and pain. He didn't approach, didn't try to claim her attention, just stood there solid and certain, a reminder that some things hadn't changed even as her whole world transformed. Lily excused herself from the celebration and walked toward him. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "Thank you. How do you feel?" "I don't know." She shook her head. "Empty, I think. Like I've been running so long I forgot how to stand still." "That's normal." "Is it?" "After combat, a lot of soldiers feel the same way. You spend months focused on survival, on the next mission, the next threat. When it's over, when you're safe, you don't know what to do with yourself." "How did you handle it?" "Badly at first." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Took me years to figure out who I was when I wasn't fighting." "And who are you?" Jax was quiet for a long moment. "Someone who protects people. Someone who tries to make sure what happened to my sister doesn't happen to anyone else." His eyes met hers. "Someone who's glad you're okay, Lily Monroe." She felt tears threaten and blinked them back. "Jax, You don't have to say anything." "But I want to." She took a breath. "You saved my life. In that elevator at the restaurant every moment since. I don't know how to thank you for that." "You don't need to thank me." "Then what do I need to do?" He reached out and touched her face, gentle, almost hesitant. The first time he'd touched her with anything other than professional necessity. "Live," he said simply. "Go out into the world and live the life Marcus tried to take from you. That's all the thanks I'll ever need." Lily leaned into his touch just for a moment. Then she stepped back. "I'm going to Austin next week, enrolled in a criminal justice program at UT. I want to become a victim's advocate, help other people the way you helped me." Something shifted in Jax's expression. Pride, maybe, or loss. "That's good. That's really good. Will you visit if you want me to? I want you to." He nodded slowly. "Then I will." They stood in comfortable silence while the celebration continued around them. Two people who had been through hell together, now figuring out what came next. The next week passed in a blur of activity. Lily packed her few belongings she'd accumulated, almost nothing during her time at the compound, preferring to travel light in case she needed to run again. Old habits died hard. Carol helped filling boxes with the second-hand clothes and thrift store finds that had replaced the designer wardrobe Marcus had controlled. "You sure about this?" Carol asked for the 10th time. "Austin's a big city. You don't know anyone there." "I'll be fine, Mom. I just worry. After everything you've been through." "Everything I've been through is exactly why I need to do this." Lily stopped packing and faced her mother. "I can't stay in Pinewood. Too many memories. Too many people who still think Marcus was the victim." Carol flinched. That wound was still raw. The realization that so many of her neighbors had believed Marcus's lies, had looked at her daughter's bruises and chosen to see nothing. "I understand," Carol said quietly. "I hate it, but I understand. You could come with me." "No." Carol shook her head. "My life is here. My job, my friends, what's left of them." She managed a watery smile. "Besides, someone needs to stay and remind this town what really happened. What they let happen." "That sounds exhausting." "Maybe, but I owe you that much." Carol pulled Lily into a tight embrace. "I failed you for so long, baby. Let me fight for you now." Lily held her mother close. "You're not failing me anymore. You haven't been for months. I should have believed you from the start. You believe me now. That's what counts." They finished packing in companionable silence. By evening, everything Lily owned fit in the back of a used Honda that Ghost had helped her buy a graduation gift. He'd called it, though Lily suspected the funds had come from Preacher's own pocket. The goodbye with the Iron Devils was harder than she'd expected. May pressed a sealed envelope into her hands. "Emergency funds. Don't argue. Just take it." Ghost gave her a burner phone. "Pre-programmed with secure contacts. If you ever need help, anything at all, you call." Preacher pulled her into a rare hug. "You made us proud, girl. Sarah would have loved you." "And Jax." Jax walked her to her car as the sun set over the compound. He didn't say much, he never did, but he handed her something wrapped in cloth. "What's this? Open it when you get to Austin, not before." "Mysterious. Earned, I think." He opened her car door, then hesitated. "Lily." "Yes. What we talked about. Me visiting." "I remember." "I meant it, but I want you to know." He struggled with the words. "I want you to build your own life. Not one that revolves around me or the club or anything from these past months. You deserve more than that." "I know what I deserve, Jax. I finally do." She reached up and kissed his cheek. Brief, but meaningful. "I'll call you when I'm settled." "I'll be waiting." She drove away without looking back. If she looked back, she might not leave. And she needed to leave. Needed to become someone beyond the survivor, beyond the victim, beyond the woman Marcus Webb had tried to destroy. The drive to Austin took 3 hours. Lily arrived at her new apartment as darkness fell. It was small, just a studio with a kitchenette and a bathroom, but it was hers. The first space that had ever been truly hers without Marcus's shadow looming over every corner. She unpacked quickly, then remembered the wrapped object Jax had given her. Inside was a leather-bound journal and a handwritten note. "For the next chapter of your story, make it a good one. Jax." Lily ran her fingers over the smooth leather. Then she opened to the first page and began to write. 3 months into the semester, everything changed again. Lily had thrown herself into her studies with the same intensity she'd brought to surviving Marcus. Criminal justice, psychology, victim advocacy certification courses that pushed her to confront her own trauma while learning to help others with theirs. Her professors noticed. Her classmates noticed. Word spread about the young woman who had taken down one of Texas's most powerful families. Then the call came. Miss Monroe. This is Senator Patricia Reynolds' office. The senator would like to speak with you about testifying before Congress. Lily nearly dropped her phone. I'm sorry, did you say Congress? Yes, ma'am. The Senate Judiciary Committee is holding hearings on domestic violence and law enforcement failures. Senator Reynolds believes your testimony could be instrumental in pushing through new legislation. Lily sat down heavily on her bed. I need to think about this. Of course. Take all the time you need. She called Jax that night. Congress, he said flatly. Congress. That's huge, Lily. I know. It's also dangerous. Politically, I mean. The Webb family still has allies in Washington. They'll try to discredit you. They've been trying for months. It hasn't worked. This is different. This is national. Everything you say, everything you do, will be scrutinized by millions of people. I know that too. Lily stared at the ceiling of her tiny apartment. But think about what it could mean. New laws, new protections, real change for survivors everywhere. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want. I know what I feel like I should do. Jax was quiet for a long moment. Remember what I told you when you left about building your own life? Yes. This has to be your choice, Lily. Not because you feel obligated. Not because other people expect it. Your choice for your reasons. And if my reason is that I want to make sure no one else goes through what I went through, then I think you have your answer. She called the senator's office the next morning. The day of the hearing arrived faster than seemed possible. Lily sat in a waiting room somewhere in the bowels of the Capitol building, trying to control her breathing. In a few minutes, she would walk into a chamber full of senators and cameras and testify about the worst experiences of her life. The door opened. Carol walked in looking uncomfortable in her best dress, but fierce with determination. Mom, what are you doing here? You think I'd miss this? Carol crossed the room and took her daughter's hands. I flew in last night. Didn't want to tell you in case it made you more nervous. I'm terrified. I know, but you're going to walk in there and tell your truth anyway. Carol squeezed her hands. That's what makes you brave, baby, not the absence of fear. The presence of it and the choice to move forward regardless. The door opened again. Jax. In a suit that looked deeply uncomfortable on his muscular frame, the iron devil's patch conspicuously absent from his chest. What are you? You didn't think I'd miss this either, did you? He crossed to stand beside her. May wanted to come too, but someone had to run the compound. The whole club, watching on TV, every single one of them. He smiled slightly. You've got an army behind you, Lily. Don't forget that. A Senate aide appeared in the doorway. Miss Monroe, they're ready for you. Lily stood on legs that felt like jelly. Her mother hugged her. You've got this. Jax touched her shoulder. Remember who you are. Not who Marcus tried to make you. Who you really are. Lily walked toward the chamber. The room was enormous. Rows of senators sat behind an elevated platform, their faces grave and attentive. Banks of cameras lined the walls. The gallery was packed with spectators, reporters, advocates from organizations Lily had only read about. She took her seat at the witness table and adjusted the microphone. Senator Reynolds, a silver-haired woman with sharp eyes, leaned forward. Miss Monroe, thank you for being here today. We know this isn't easy. No, ma'am, it isn't. Please, in your own words, tell us what happened to you. Lily took a breath. Then she began to speak. She told them everything. The charm that had hooked her, the isolation that had trapped her, the escalating violence that had nearly killed her. She described the night she ran the elevator, the Hell's Angel who had become her unlikely savior. She talked about the recordings, the other victims, the web of corruption that had protected Marcus Webb for over a decade. And she talked about what came after. The terror of testifying against a powerful man. The determination of survivors like her to be heard despite every obstacle thrown in their path. The senators listened in stunned silence. When she finished, Senator Reynolds removed her glasses and wiped her eyes. "Miss Monroe," she said, her voice rough with emotion. "What you've described, the failures of local law enforcement, the collusion of public officials, the systematic protection of an abuser, represents everything that is broken in our current system." "Yes, ma'am." "What would you like to see changed?" Lily had prepared for this question, had spent weeks with Victoria Chen and advocates from national organizations crafting her answer. "Three things," she said. First, mandatory reporting requirements for suspected domestic violence with real consequences for officials who fail to investigate. Second, federal funding for survivor support networks, places like the one that saved my life, where women can go when they have nowhere else to turn. And third, stronger protections for witnesses who testify against their abusers so that no one has to choose between their safety and their justice. Senator Reynolds nodded slowly. "Those are significant reforms." "They're necessary reforms, ma'am. How many women have to die before we take this seriously?" Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Another senator, an older man with a skeptical expression, leaned forward. "Miss Monroe, your testimony is compelling, but some might argue that your experience was exceptional, that most cases of domestic violence don't involve such dramatic circumstances." "With respect, Senator, you're wrong." The man's eyebrows rose. "Every case of domestic violence is dramatic to the person living it. Every woman who is beaten by a partner experiences terror just as real as mine. The only difference is that my abuser happened to be rich and connected enough to make national news." Lily's voice hardened. The woman in a trailer park who gets beaten every night. Her fear is just as valid. Her pain is just as real. The fact that her abuser isn't a senator's grandson doesn't make her life worth less. The gallery burst into applause. The senator sat back, properly chastened. Senator Reynolds banged her gavel for order. "Miss Monroe, one final question. Given everything you've been through, the violence, the threats, the scrutiny, do you have any regrets about coming forward?" Lily thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret any of it. Every moment of fear, every attack on my credibility, every sleepless night, it was worth it. Because today, Marcus Webb is in prison. Because today, other survivors might hear my story and find the courage to tell their own. Because today, maybe something will change." She looked directly into the cameras. "I was 18 years old when Marcus Webb first hit me. I was 18 years old when I ran. And I was 18 years old when I decided that running wasn't enough, that I had to fight. For myself. For the women who came before me. For everyone who might come after." Her voice rang through the chamber. "My name is Lily Monroe. I am a survivor. And I am not afraid anymore." The gallery exploded into applause. Senators were on their feet. Cameras flashed. In the gallery, Carol was crying openly, clutching Jax's arm like it was the only thing keeping her upright. And somewhere in a federal prison in Texas, Marcus Webb watched on a common room television as the woman he'd tried to destroy became a symbol of everything he'd feared. The legislation passed 3 months later. The Monroe Act, they called it. Mandatory reporting, federal funding for survivor networks, enhanced protections for witnesses, everything Lily had asked for and more. She watched the signing ceremony from her apartment in Austin, surrounded by classmates who had become friends, by advocates who had become allies. Carol was there, and May and Ghost. Jax had arrived that morning on his motorcycle, parking it beside her sensible Honda, like a reminder of everything she'd survived. "How does it feel?" Carol asked as the president's pen touched paper. "Surreal," Lily admitted. 6 months ago, I was hiding in a warehouse, terrified Marcus would find me. Now there's a law with my name on it. You earned it. We earned it, all of us. Jax appeared at her elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. Celebrating, trying to. She took the glass, but didn't drink. It doesn't feel finished somehow. It's not. It never will be. His dark eyes met hers. There will always be another Marcus, another victim, another battle to fight. That's not very comforting. It's not meant to be comforting. It's meant to be true. He clinked his glass against hers. The question is whether you're going to keep fighting. Lily thought about her classes, her certification, the job offers that had started trickling in from advocacy organizations across the country. I think I might. Good. They drank in silence while the television showed scenes of celebration survivors holding signs, advocates cheering politicians, congratulating themselves on a job well done. Jax, Lily said suddenly. Yeah. What you said about building my own life, about not letting it revolve around you or the club. I remember. I've been thinking about that. She turned to face him fully. I built my own life. I found my purpose. I figured out who I am beyond what Marcus did to me. I know. But here's the thing. She set down her glass. Now that I know who I am, I get to choose who I want in my life. And I choose you. Jax went very still. Lily, I'm not asking you to move to Austin. I'm not asking for promises or commitments or any of that. I'm just saying you told me to build a life worth living. I did. And I want you to be part of it. A long moment passed. Then Jax smiled. It was small, barely there, but it transformed his face in ways Lily had never seen before. I think I can manage that. Yeah. He kissed her, then soft questioning, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. When they finally broke apart, Carol was watching them with tears in her eyes, and May was trying unsuccessfully to pretend she hadn't seen. About time, Ghost muttered from across the room. Lily laughed. For the first time in what felt like forever, she laughed freely and fully and without fear. 1 year later, Lily stood before a crowd of 300 survivors at the first annual Monroe Foundation conference. The organization she'd helped create had grown beyond anything she'd imagined. 12 states, 47 safe houses, thousands of women and children given second chances at life. When I escaped Marcus Webb, she told the crowd, I thought I was alone. I thought my story was unique. I was wrong. She looked out at the faces before her. Women of every age, every background, every circumstance, all of them survivors, all of them fighters. Every single one of you has a story. Every single one of you has survived something that tried to destroy you. And every single one of you is here today, which means you won. Applause rippled through the audience. The fight isn't over. It will never be over. There will always be another monster hiding behind a charming smile, another family pretending not to see the bruises, another system failing the people it's supposed to protect. her voice strengthened. But there will also always be us, the survivors, the advocates, the people who refuse to look away, who refuse to stay silent, who refuse to let evil win. She thought of Jax watching from the back of the room, of her mother sitting in the front row with tears streaming down her face, of May and Preacher and Ghost and all the iron devils who had become her family. She thought of Megan Torres, Sarah Whitfield, Jennifer Reyes, the women who hadn't survived, whose voices she carried every time she spoke. She thought of Emma Jax's sister, who had died alone and afraid, who had never gotten the chance to become what Lily was becoming. "My name is Lily Monroe," she said, her voice ringing through the hall. "I am 19 years old. 1 year ago I was a victim. Today I am a survivor. Tomorrow I will be a warrior." She raised her chin. "And if you're watching this, if you're trapped in a situation that feels hopeless, if you think no one will believe you, if you think you'll never escape, hear me." Her eyes burned with fierce determination. "You are stronger than you know. You are braver than you feel, and you are never ever alone. We are here. We are waiting, and we will fight for you until you're ready to fight for yourself." The crowd rose to their feet. 300 survivors standing together, their applause drowning out every voice that had ever told them they were worthless. Lily Monroe smiled. She had walked into an elevator fleeing one monster and crashed into another. She had learned that sometimes angels wore leather and rode motorcycles. She had discovered that the deepest wounds could become the greatest strengths. Marcus Webb had tried to break her. Instead, he had created something he never could have imagined. A movement. A voice. A legacy that would outlast his prison sentence, his family's fortune, and every lie he had ever told. Lily Monroe had escaped her abusive ex. She had found a Hell's Angel in an elevator. And together, they had changed the world.